Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show. Coming to you live today from SiriusXM in Los Angeles, California. Here to see Gavin Newsom for a tough, hard-hitting interview. No, I'm not. No, he would not agree to that. He's not that dumb. I'm in LA for the premiere of the Daily Wire's first animated scripted series, Mr. Birchum. Mr. Birchum is a character created decades ago by a friend of the show, Adam Carolla. He's a woodshop teacher who's having trouble dealing with a world gone woke. He doesn't much like children or kind of anyone other than like his daughter and maybe his wife. And Adam created this character years ago, but no network would touch it for fear of offending the wrong people. It features a star-studded cast, including comedians Roseanne, Kyle Dunnigan. Do you guys remember when he came on the show and he did like trans Trump? You got to do it. It was amazing. Jay Moore, remember him? Jerry Maguire, Daily Wire's own Brett Cooper, and my friend Sage Steele. She's also in it. I'm actually making my... Okay, the script says acting debut. That's not true. My repeat after Nate, who is the guy who walked me through it, debut, as the voice of Mr. Birchum's super hot, no, she's not, wife, Wendy. So we all gathered together last night to premiere the very first episode, which you can watch this weekend at Daily Wire Plus. Here's a sneak peek.
There's some really great school uniform options to avoid misgendering.
Ooh, what about their allergies? Maybe those theys could be lactose intolerant.
No, we can't say intolerance. We have a zero tolerance policy for mentioning intolerance.
Thanks, Mommy, the wine. The bottle.
Don't make this a prison hug.
Richard Birchum.
Birchum?
Birchum.
Mr. Birchum.
Hey, Birchum.
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 Birchum!
Watch Mr. Birchum, an all-new animated series from Daily Wire Plus.
All right, if you want to check it out, head to dailywireplus.com. Enter the code Megyn25 to sign up for a Daily Wire Plus annual membership, and you'll get 25% off with that code. The premiere was so much fun. I have so many stories to share when Brett Cooper, Kyle Dunnigan, and Roseanne join me in just a bit. But we begin today with the man who started it all, my TV husband, Adam Carolla. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe to this show on YouTube and follow me on Insta, Facebook, and X. Genucel is celebrating their 25th anniversary by giving you an extra 25% off their already awesome Mother's Day sale prices, making this Mother's Day sale Genucel's biggest sale ever. Get Genucel's best-selling, most popular package featuring Gen 90 for immediate results in minutes, and their top-selling under-eye bags and puffiness serum for over 70% off. They help with troubling forehead wrinkles and fine lines, skin redness and dark spots, those pesky bags and puffiness, and Genucel guarantees you will see results in less than 12 hours or your money back. Celebrate that special woman in your life this Mother's Day with Genucel and a once-in-a-lifetime price. For a limited time, you can get 70% off, okay, plus an extra 25% anniversary discount on top-selling packages. You're paying almost nothing during Genucel's Mother's Day sale. Once this sale is gone, it's gone. Order yours right now and get the Genucel jawline treatment for a more contoured, defined jawline. Limited inventory available. Genucel.com/MK60. Genucel.com/MK60. Bonus gifts, free shipping. GENUCEL.com/MK60. Hi, how are ya?
Good.
How you feeling?
A little hungover. It was an late night and early morning.
That's right.
But I made it with moments to spare. And I drove through to get here from where my house is. I had to go right through one homeless encampment to another homeless encampment. I went from the Glendale homeless encampment to the Hollywood homeless encampment. And there's so much garbage everywhere.
What's happening? I saw just last night at the premiere, which was in Hollywood, you basically had to step through tents to make it into the building.
Yeah, I will. Let me give your listeners, fans, a very true and real world example of what LA is, if they kind of want to know what it is in a nutshell. They're very tough on taxpayers and very easy on criminals or homeless people or whatever. For some, they have rules. And if you're in the class that they have regulations and rules for, you have lots of rules and regulations. So meaning I had a friend who opened a restaurant several blocks from here. And I said, how's it going? And they said, well, the restaurant's not really ready, but we can't really do the takeout sandwich part either. And I said, why not? And he said, we don't have one of those blowers. It hasn't come in yet, that when you open the window to hand them the sandwiches, the air flows the opposite way so flies don't come in or whatever. I said, you can't just open your window and give someone a sandwich? No, they won't let us open until we get our blower in from Canada or whatever, and it's delayed. I said, up and down the same street you're on, there's people with shopping carts with propane tanks cooking hot dogs and selling to everyone, mayonnaise tub that came from Silmar in the back of a van. There's people just serving food on the street everywhere. It's like, yeah, they don't care about them. They care about us because we have a license and a liquor license and pay taxes and what have you. I called the Malibu Anna Walt Lumber, a lumber store, because like Mr. Birchum, carpenter, and I was building a project, and I called Anna Walt Lumber in Malibu, and I said, you got 3/4 CDX good one side plywood? And they said, yeah, we got it. And I said, you have pressure treated 2x4s? And they said, yeah, we got pressure treated 2x4s, which is just 2x4s that are meant to go against masonry. And I said, they said, we can cut the plywood if you want, but we can't cut the pressure-treated 2x4s because it's an OSHA regulation, meaning the 2x4s have something in them. I guarantee you can cut a pressure-treated 2x4 at an Anna Walt Lumber at any state in the union except for California. They won't let it. And by the way, when you buy your 2x4s, you just go home and cut them. But they can't cut them in Malibu at Anna Walt Lumber. But there's throngs of homeless people flopped out everywhere. And if you drive down PCH a mile away from Anna Walt Lumber, there's going to be beat up Winnebagos just parked on the side of the street, people dealing meth and, living out of those things. So it's like infinite regulation for people who follow rules, like literally telling a business who's a lumber yard, you can't cut some of the wood that you sell because OSHA will not allow it, but you can flop anywhere, sleep anywhere, and throw as much garbage on the street as you want.
Well, yeah. Last night I was like, are we in a bad area of town? And they're like, no.
You're just in Hollywood.
Right. What you were saying reminded me of, we took a trip recently as a family, and in my toiletry bag, which we were carrying on, I had a pair of scissors, they kind of like, whatever, they were kind of long, not a full shear, but pretty close to a full shear. And fine, I went right through. My daughter had a 6-ounce bottle of Johnson's baby shampoo. They confiscated it. They patted her. It's like, you can see this is a 12-year-old girl and it was not opened yet. So the seal was still on it.
Just what Al Qaeda would do. They'd glue that seal back on after putting the colored nitroglycerin in the bottle. Their advertisement for Johnson's baby shampoo was no more tears, but
that day, it was a different story.
That day, there were tears.
It makes no sense. It's so aggravating. This is just the kind of thing that Mr. Birchum would be railing about.
Yes. Thank you for bringing it back to Mr. Birchum.
All right. So I had to tell you, last night I thought was very cool. I've never been to one of those things before, like a premiere of a show. And I love that you had a wooden carpet because Mr. Birchum is a shopkeeper instead of a red carpet. And I think it's fair.
Shop teachers. I think you said shopkeeper, which makes me an olden-time guy who sells candles.
Right, shop teacher. I think it's fair to say that when we went on stage after the premiere of the first episode, Roseanne stole the show.
Yeah.
Do you agree with me?
I do.
She was so funny. She was doing this thing where she was laughing loud in her Roseanne laugh at the whole show, everybody's parts. And then when she got up there, she talked a bit about what it meant to her to come back. This is her first animated series since the cancellation, first TV series really, since the cancellation of her show. Were you surprised at, how it still weighs on her?
I'll tell you one thing I've really learned from celebrities is you think maybe they're wired different than other folk, and maybe they don't see things or hang on to things, or they have so much money that it really doesn't things sort of roll off of them because they land in this beautiful house with beautiful accoutrements and drive beautiful cars. Most celebrities I know hang on to stuff and have sort of just as much sort of rage, jealousy, animosity as anybody I've ever worked with on a construction site, that and more. Like it's really weird. Like if you talk to Sylvester Stallone, you're not going to talk about all the victories. You're going to talk about some movie that was supposed to, you'll talk about Cobra or Driven or something, like one of his movies that didn't work that well. And then he'll go into this thing about we had a good script and the executives screwed it up and they gave us this crappy director. And I was like, okay, let's just talk about Rocky.
Yeah, right. Fine.
You know what I mean?
None of us is harboring that for you.
Right. Now but I think there is something in the Achievers where every pro athlete I've ever, any big time pro successful athlete I've ever interviewed can tell you when they screwed up in the game in high school or when they screwed up in the game in college. Like it's baked into their mind. It's not the victories. They remember the losses and they're really hard on themselves and they really dwell on it. I mean, Roseanne's not hard on herself, but they're angry about the losses.
Yeah.
The woman who made $1 million an episode when she was the queen of sitcoms in 1991 dwells on the loss.
I look at her, I'm like, she's Roseanne. She's one of those people who by a first name. She's so gifted. She got completely ramroded by her fellow castmates, by ABC, by the executives and so on. And I think she must be past that, right? She's got to be past all that. It still burns her. And she's still really, and you think back to how they took that show away from her when it was, she had brought it back and they were number one again. And then, anyway, so good for you.
It's the cowardly castmates that drive me nuts in this equation.
Sarah Gilbert was the worst.
She's the worst.
The worst.
She's the worst.
But Hollywood, are they friends? I mean, like, you've been out here for a long time. Are they actually capable of being good friends?
I don't know. Sarah Gilbert is angry bitch. I hate her. I did her show, The Blab or The Talk or The Yak or whatever the hell they call it, and I don't know. She gave me some sort of 10-minute dissertation on what lesbians were or something. And I was like, oh, shut up, you shrew. Okay.
Speaking of sex lives, let's talk a little Stormy Daniels because I don't know whether Mr. Birchum watches the news, but I think you'd have some strong opinions on the woman who took the stand yesterday in the Trump trial. Adam, she got up there, and I'm not gonna tell you about her walk into the courtroom and her taking of the stand. I'm gonna let our mutual friend Lawrence O'Donnell, not true, tell us both about his impressions of her walking into that courtroom. Watch this.
The excitement and anticipation in the room hit a new high at 10:32 a.m. She entered wearing all black, as if on her way to a funeral. The loose-fitting, plain black clothing draping from her shoulders to her toes suggested the modesty of a nun. The makeup was minimal, the way she and the other moms in her neighborhood might look when shopping at the local grocery store. The long blonde hair, held up with a clip at the back of her head, the way it might be in a utilitarian way while she was doing dishes or checking one of the horseshoes on her horse. She was alone in the room with him that first time. This time, there were over 100 people in the room, all watching her, except him.
Oh my God, the drama.
You know what I want to say to all these adults who are in the news industry? What did you go to journalism school for?
Yeah.
This is a Mexican soap opera. You're not a journalist, you idiot. Why did you do that? What compelled you? You know what I mean?
Was it to bust the lid off of stories like this?
Is it to just use nothing but hyperbole to essentially try to turn a zero burger into a double king cheese? What are you doing? Where's your dignity? I feel this way about almost everybody in media these days. Why are you here? What are you doing? What compelled you to get into this business? What motivated you to get into business? What would your dad say who paid for you to go to college and then journalism school to see this sad sack on display.
No, it's so true. But they can't help themselves. This is their Super Bowl, their Oscars, all of it wrapped into the World Series, wrapped into one. And this, plus when Michael Cohen takes a stand, this is the apex of their event. They wanted to hear her talk about Trump and how brief the sexual interlude was because they want to see him humiliated. This is it.
Of course it's it. Michael Cohen is a spastic nut job.
Yes.
Who I interviewed on my podcast once, and in the almost 4,000 podcast episodes I've done, it was the only time I said to a guest, I am going to hang up if you do not reel it in. Like if you cannot maintain yourself, I'm going to hang up. And I have a long fuse for nutty people. I
think the record will reflect.
The record will reflect. I started off with my family, went into my friends, went into, teaching boxing, working on a construction site, doing Loveline. I've known a lot of nut jobs and have given a lot of leeway. Michael Cohen was literally the only person I've ever said, if you don't reel it in, because he was so agitated and kind of unprofessional and stupid, I said, I am going to hang up on you.
Wow.
It was a January 6th thing where I said, I think it was a riot, but I don't think it was an insurrection. And he started going insane.
Yeah, he needs it to be an insurrection.
He needed it to be an insurrection.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing about Stormy, we're going to get to this in more detail with a full legal panel in a show we're going to release later today. But I have to say, the thing about Stormy is, what shocked me the most, she completely revised her account of the interlude. It went from this casual description back in, when she first came out with this publicly of, he was interesting and he was nice and, it was fine, he was a nice guy, to I blacked out. Her new testimony is,
oh, really?
The blood left my fingers and toes. The room was spinning and he was stopping me from getting out because he was sitting on the bed between me exiting the bathroom and the door, but in a non-threatening manner. Oh, and by the way, I didn't say no, but I didn't know how I got here. What choices had I made? It's a bullshit Me Too revisionism, and everyone's buying it.
Go through this with the Supreme Court Justice nomination and Blasey Ford or whatever that nut job's name was. Did we just go through this?
Yes.
I was raped in high school at a party at a house I don't recall with people I've never met. Oh my God, you're a hero.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Doctor?
Yeah.
Ugh. By the way, can we knock this doctor crap off?
Oh,
you got to be a
thank you.
physician.
Oh, come on.
Sorry, Jill Biden. Here's the definition. Where's my camera? Is that it?
Yeah, that's your camera right there.
All right, I'm talking to my camera. Here's the deal with doctor. No more doctors for people who aren't actual physicians. Now, Dr. Drew's a good friend of mine. It bothers him that everyone is a doctor now.
Yes, he's an
when he was a
actual
doctor.
MD.
So you want to know what the definition is? If you're on an airplane and somebody has a heart attack and the stewardess gets on the blower and says, is there a doctor on this flight? Jill Biden's going to keep her ass planted in her seat, right? Or what's she going to do? Read him a children's book? I don't know what she does, but the point is she's useless.
Yes.
That's the whole point. So if somebody says, is there a doctor on a flight, and you stand up, you're a doctor.
Agreed.
Other than that, I do not want you called doctor.
Preach.
It's got to be on a flight. You got to be able to save someone on a flight.
You're right in my sweet spot here because the insistence by the White House to call her Dr. Jill Biden at every appearance.
I know, but it's all just part and parcel of the whole sort of ruse,
It just shows
right?
you what a small person she is.
I completely agree.
Who would need that? I mean, I'm a juris doctor. You should be calling me doctor right now.
Oh, I should.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should have been Dr. Wendy Birchum if you really wanted to pay me the respect I deserve.
You're right. We'll work that in post.
Now listen, back to Birchum. So you talked last night a bit about who inspired these characters, and I thought that was really interesting. These are actually the guy who was the super woke DEI instructor. He's based on, like, I don't know if he's based on everybody, but everybody in the show is based on a real principle you dealt with or a gym coach you had. So how did you come up with? I'll start with Carponzi, because that's a super woke guy who I freaking love. That he steals the show.
I agree. Carponzi, the DEI officer, and I think we have an acronym for him that works
Jedi.
out to be Jedi,
Yeah.
but I can't, and I have to work
Justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, you know more about the script than I do.
I paid attention.
His character is just really a compilation of all the idiots who've been trying to force this stuff down our throat for the last 10 years. So his character sort of represents society at large. You know, his character represents everybody who was wrong about COVID, everyone who was wrong about anything that comes down the pike, January 6th or whatever the cause du jour, Hunter
Race,
Biden laptop,
gender.
race, gender.
Actually, hold on.
Everything.
Hold that thought, because we actually have a clip of him. Let's watch.
Oh, okay.
My name is Mr. Carponzi. My pronouns are he, him, and z. I'm a heteronormative, cisgendered white male, for which I apologize.
What?
So Carponzi represents society, or at least the society that Birchum would like to push back against.
Yeah, and you and I.
Birchum is based on all the shop teachers I had in junior high who were these tough, scary, big forearm guys who hated kids and were mean as hell, but liked the idea of getting paid to be indoors around equipment and work in a wood shop. But the problem is they sort of thought their shop was like their own shop. And the kids were kind of a nuisance who were coming in and wanting to use their bandsaw and their table saw and their lathe. Mm-hmm. And that's the way it felt to me in junior high. And I also learned that shop teachers don't have to have teaching credentials. They need to have like 10 years in the trades.
That makes sense.
And then they can teach. So these are guys who didn't go to college, never wanted to work with kids, didn't want to mold society or help shape youth. They're just carpenters and metalworking guys who are out of a job, essentially, and end up falling into shop teacher. So they had no bedside etiquette, and they didn't like kids. And none of the shop teachers at Walter Reed Junior High in North Hollywood, when I went there, seemed to like the kids. So I always had it in my head that it was a funny archetype that here were these guys going to school every day to work with kids, but they hated kids.
They can't stand them. I will say the timing for this is perfect. And by the way, again, if you're just listening now, you can sign up for it over at Daily Wire Plus and use the code Megyn25. You get a discount, big discount on membership there. You can watch Mr. Birchum, and you can watch the first, I think, and second episode for free this weekend. But we need a guy like Birchum more than ever. We could use more Mr. Birchums in our K through 12 and certainly college education right now, because we, of course, are producing a bunch of like soft.
Oh, God.
I wanted to run this clip for you. It's not really on our agenda to talk about the protests on campus today, but I do want to show you this. Where was she from, you guys? She's Columbia, right? The one that we circulated this morning. I'm going to... Princeton, right? Because they're having the hunger strike there. They're in the
hunger! I love a hunger strike.
You and I might call it a night of sleep. They call it a hunger strike.
Yeah.
And apparently it's not going very well. Take a listen.
This is absolutely unfair. My peers and I, we are starving. We are physically exhausted. I am quite literally shaking right now, as you can see. We are both cold and hot at the same time. We are all immunocompromised. And based on the university's meeting yesterday with some of our bargaining team, they would love to continue physically weakening us because they can't stand to say no to unjust murder.
Okay, you get it.
I do appreciate the daisy chaining of the bullhorn.
Yeah.
I like that.
They made it
That
so she could
shows
still be on cam.
some ingenuity the way they daisy chain the bullhorns.
Why did she have to read the statement about how we are both hot and cold at the same time? I am shaking right now.
I don't know, because I see it all the time. Like, everyone puts everything in all young people put everything in their phone now, and they'll do a toast at a wedding, and there'll be some 26-year-old chick going, I was a maid of honor, and I just want to thank Tim and Sylvia. May they go on forever. It's like, I should just at some point commit things to memory.
Or just extemporaneously speak. It's a good skill to develop.
Am I looking at my phone?
Right.
We're 23 minutes into this. Pow, zing, snap.
You did your whole bit on doctor without looking at a thing.
Yeah, I know. But hold on. Roll prompter, because I want to get through that.
All right, here. So back to Birchum, because I'm just showing that Birchum has real life
can I
application.
tell you this? A sad state of affairs.
What?
Speaking of, we need Birchums more than ever in these schools. I'm driving my 17-year-old daughter and her 17-year-old friend over to the premiere last night. And they're both going to graduate high school seniors. And I said, do you know anything about Birchum or what, kids? They don't know anything
A character you developed 30 years ago.
They don't know anything about Birchum. They don't know anything about me. I mean, professionally. They pay him, we get a swimming pool. That's kind of how they work it out. But I said, well, let me tell you about Birchum, like how it works, just so when you go watch the premiere, you'll have some context of where this guy comes from. I said, you guys have shop class, right? I said, huh? I said, shop, wood shop, metal shop, auto shop. They're like, no. And I'm like, but shop, you know what shop is, right? No. I said, okay, wait a minute. You didn't take shop class, but they got metal shop, they got wood shop, they got auto. You know someone who takes auto shop, right? No.
Nope.
I said, well, what do you mean? Like both your high schools, they go to two different high schools. There's nothing? No auto shop? Nope. Never heard of it. I said, well, well, we have electives. We could take cooking or something like that or whatever. No shop. It is not offered.
That's too bad
anymore. I feel the same way.
It is offered in our school, I have to say. Like all three of our kids have come home with some. My son made a chair. I think you would have been proud of it. Little table, actually, little table, like legit. You can fold it up, whatever. Back in my day too, I took it. I made a little mirror. Didn't lose a finger.
It's a bigger problem than people understand. The lack of sort of shop and working with tools and understanding. When you work with tools, each one represents a potential danger. So routers are different than circular saws, and circular saws are different than drills, and drills are different than bayonet saws, And when you handle a lot of tools, even just jacking a car up and getting underneath the car, it's 5,000 pounds.
Yeah.
It will kill you if you don't do it properly.
Oh, listen to Dateline. I mean, some have used it against others.
Yes, but you must jack up the car because you must get under it and fix the car. So you don't have an alternative, but you have to do it correctly. But also, time is of the essence. So each tool sort of represents, should you wear goggles? Do I need ear protection? Does this thing torque this way or kick back that way? I mean, tools are super specific. Like if you take a table saw, if you take a piece of wood and you put it between two sawhorses and you think you're going to cut it down the middle, it'll bind and pinch as it goes down and kick back. If you wanted to cut it, you'd let the end hang over, but you wouldn't put it in between. It'll go down and immediately bind and kick back. The point is when you learn these things, then you have a relationship with danger. It's not, I'll never do it. It's here's how it works. And then that will carry over into things like COVID. But we didn't have a relationship. We had people wearing masks alone in a car because they don't have the relationship with risk.
Yeah. When Mike Rowe came on, he made a similar point. He was talking about how now we're at the point where if you're at a don't walk sign and you look left and you look right and there are no cars for miles, half the populace will sit there and stand. They will wait for the
Well,
walk sign. Like,
I'll do Mike Rowe one better. I do that with red lights, and I do that with red turn arrows, and I do it with everything. If I'm there and there's no one around, I'm gone.
I see your point. If you're not a moron and you actually have decent eyes, it's fine. Why am I sitting here? There is no one here. I can see just as well, better than the camera above me can see. I'm safe.
1,000% do it all day.
Anyway, this is the one of the many efforts by Adam Carolla to fight back against this nonsense and try to toughen people up. Mr. Birchum, thank you for including me in it.
Oh, listen, it's been a thrill. I mean, I'm a fan, and it's always nice to work with people that you like working with.
Yeah, well, here's to season 2.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. You guys, don't forget to check it out. We're not done because Brett Cooper, she's a star over at the Daily Wire. She's 22 years old. I think she's got, 7 million YouTube followers. And you'll see why, because she's a very talented, dynamic, funny young woman. She's up next. Don't go away. As we draw near another critical election, it's not just about casting your vote. It's about elevating your voice, your beliefs. I want to tell you about the Association of Mature American Citizens, or AMAC. It's more than just a senior discount organization. They unite like-minded patriots, committed to preserving our cherished values and actively opposing the leftist agenda. As AMAC's membership grows, Washington listens. Every new member strengthens this movement. If you love America, check out amac.us/Megyn and consider becoming a 4-year member for just $30. AMAC membership gives you access to the AMAC magazine, free Social Security and Medicare guidance, money-saving discounts, trusted news, sweepstakes, and more. Take advantage of their election year sale, 4 years for just $30, by joining the over 2 million members and get your voice heard. Join now at amac.us/Megyn. That's amac.us/MEGYN. Joining me now, Brett Cooper. She is the host of The Comments section with Brett Cooper for The Daily Wire. She also plays my daughter in the new animated series, Mr. Birchum. Brett, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, honey.
Hi.
It's so funny. You actually could be my daughter. It's like when you're old when you start to see other grown, accomplished humans and you realize you could be their parent. It's kind of that moment.
I'm honored. I'm honored.
So Adam and I are your mom and dad.
Exactly. It's perfect.
And just like, talk to me a little bit about how you got into this, because as I mentioned in the preview to your appearance, you've taken off at the Daily Wire. You've been so successful online. You really do have an effervescent personality. You're very talented. So how did you get like this?
I was a child actor for 10 years, actually, out here in Los Angeles. This is my first time being back since I moved 4 years ago. So it's very nostalgic. So much has changed, but a lot has, not changed at all. I was back in Burbank last night after the premiere. I went to my favorite donut shop my mom and I used to go to. Anyway, so grew up here in front of the camera. I love storytelling more than anything. I love communicating with an audience via this medium, behind a camera. And so I had been working on that for literally 10 years. And then during COVID, took a step back. Obviously, everything in the industry changed. I wasn't working. I was at UCLA doing school online, lost a lot of my friends due to my political beliefs and my values, and kind of found a home making social media videos about current events and culture. And then Daily Wire literally slid into my DMs and said, "Would you want to start a show with us?" I was like, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that's what happened in that order. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that because it's very rare to find a 22-year-old who's, living in LA, who's more on the right side of things, doing open social commentary on it. But first, let's show the audience a little bit of, this is the two of us in a clip from Mr. Birchum. Check it out.
Mom, there's clear mahogany under here, except some idiot painted over it with this horrible white paint.
Honey, I'm that idiot. White makes rooms look bigger. White sells. White helps mommy pay for family vacations, and this $800 pantsuit we'll never tell your father about.
But it's a sin. It's a crime against wood. You're a wood killer. A wood killer. You are a wood killer.
Technically, I'd be a wood coverer. Coverer. Okay, I see why you went with killer. Trust me, honey, this is standard in the biz. That's why we call it eggshell white.
Eggshell is the texture, not the color. And how would you like it if somebody covered you in white paint?
If it was Jason Momoa, I'd be fine. This is
So fun.
This is the premise of the show, that you are Birchum's daughter and my daughter too, but like you are more his daughter in terms of your love for woodworking and shop things. And then there's a son who's kind of a loaf, played by Kyle Dunnigan, who's here next, who doesn't quite have your ambition in the woodworking field.
Not at all. No.
Did you learn anything about tools?
No, I have not. Well, I learned a lot of the names, but I have never used any of them. So it was a lot of very, very fake knowledge. I'm pretending that I know a lot about it. And I still want to go do some woodworking with Adam. I told him, I was like, I need to go to the wood shop. I need to learn this hands-on. If we do another season, like I need to fully be prepped.
Oh, wow. Method.
Yeah, exact method acting. That's what I'm going to do. But no, Jeannie is 100% a mini Birchum.
Yeah.
Everything that he does, she wants to follow. She's super outspoken. She's very passionate. Truly just wants to be anything that her father is.
She's very cute. And I love the scenes that we have together. Although we're never together in the same room when we shoot this.
I know, it's so weird.
I did it in my studio in Connecticut. The guys came to me and they kind of tell you what to say. I mean, the people last night was like, how are you enjoying like your acting debut? I'm like, it's not acting. What I did was not acting. What you did is acting because you know what you're doing. I just repeated what Nate said. But we never see each other. And so it was kind of fun to see it all laid in.
It's wild.
But as you're an actual actress, it must have been weird for you not to.
It is. Voiceover is very, very different because when you are acting on film, you create such a bond with your co-stars. And you, like I was in Hungary filming The Pendragon Cycle for Daily Wire as well. And so we had this cast where we lived abroad together for 5.5 months. And so you're working together on screen, you're working together off screen, you are, going over the night before to work on a scene that you're shooting the next morning. Like it is very, very integrated and you create this bond. With voiceover, so much of that is segmented. And so you just have to rely on your own chops and what you know the script to be. And it's much harder. And so I really, really admire voiceover actors. I had not done voiceover since I was about 10 years old or so. So it, brought me back in a lot of ways, but I would say it is much more challenging than other forms of acting.
Exactly. I mean, it would be fun to be together, but it's weird because the whole series, season 1 is shot and done and in the bank, and you and I are just meeting now.
Yep.
Even though we've had several scenes together.
Yeah.
Not to mention me and Adam. Okay, so back to you and sort of your journey. How did you wind up more conservative to the point where you would say it out loud in LA?
My mother. My mother is incredible. I was not raised in a political home by any means. We never discussed politics. We never discussed current events. I'm not really interested in hard politics or DC. That was never part of my upbringing. She is very values-based. And so we had a lot of conversations about what our family values, personal responsibility, independence was huge. And those were the discussions that we had at our dinner tables. And when things would come up in my life, whether it was friends or in scripts that I was reading, I honestly think that is where the majority of my value education came from, is because from age 8 years old, I was being given scripts for auditions and projects that I was working on. And we would always discuss, what is the meaning of the script? What is the writer trying to convey to audiences? Do you agree with this? What do you think the character is trying to say? And those are things that you need to know as an actor. But my mom wanted to make sure that I never just fully lost myself in these characters. And so she was like, how is that different than what we believe, than what you believe? What is this character trying to say to the world? And by articulating that and identifying it, I was able to go, oh, that does not make sense. That's not actually something that I want to put out into the world. And I think that was one of the reasons why I really took a step back from acting while I was in college, because I felt so conflicted, because I would read these scripts and say, I don't want that out in the world. Like, I feel bad playing this character. I would turn down scripts all the time that had nudity, for characters that are like 16 years old.
You're not going to the Met Gala anytime soon.
No, I am not. But I thought very consciously about all of that. So that was constant conversations in my home. And when COVID started happening, I was faced with a lot of anger and hatred from friends in college that I did not expect. These were friends that were my, closest friends was about to live with in the next year. I was in a sorority, and all of that kind of blew up in my face, and I realized, oh my gosh, I disagree with all of you. And I knew that, and I was okay with it. And we were close friends, and I spent hours upon hours. I was going to live with you. And suddenly you hate me and are basically threatening me and are throwing, communist manifestos at my head at parties, calling me a racist.
Is that true? I mean, surely were they really getting after you?
Yes. I walked into a party at UCLA at one point, and simply because I was from Tennessee and because we had a conversation where we were talking about the primaries in January of 2020, and I said, no, I'm not going to vote in the primaries for Biden. And then they go, oh, you're going to vote for Bernie? I was like, no, I'm actually not going to do either of those.
Secret option number 3.
And that next week, I walked into a party and one of them stood up on a table and said, there's our racist friend Brett from Tennessee.
No.
Yeah. And I was just, and so everything, and then COVID happened. And COVID, for me, in terms of my education and my social circles and everything else in my life, it was a blessing in disguise. Obviously, the way it turned out for the world was awful, but I think that it gave me a lot of distance. It forced me to reflect a lot about the people that I was surrounding myself with, the industry that I was in. It pulled me out of an educational environment that I think was very difficult for me to survive in.
You know how the left always uses the word toxic, it's toxic. You know what?
Yes.
They make it toxic for
They
righties.
They do. And so, I moved home. I was doing all of my classes online. I made the most of it. I did, a business program. I studied for the LSAT. I started making these videos for PragerU and Young Americans for Liberty. Like I really, really leaned in. It's like if I was going to put myself out there because I knew what it felt like to be so alienated, to not see my values represented anywhere in my circles, in my industry, online, on social media. I was like, I
for
have
your
a voice.
age group. For your age group. That's the thing that's special about you. It's like if 22-year-olds want to get conservative commentary, they can get it anywhere. But not necessarily from a really smart 22-year-old young woman.
Yeah, I did not see the kind of content that I'm creating now. And that is why I was so passionate about it. I think that's also why it took off so quickly, is because I was filling a niche that I personally cared so much about, that I knew I wanted to exist in the world. Because coming up as somebody that was more right-wing, that had traditional values, valued common sense, like I would listen to, Dennis Prager, I would listen to Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles and Candace, and I would listen to Larry Elder. My mom is obsessed with Larry Elder.
He's brilliant.
He is, yeah. And so we would listen to him on car rides and Rush Limbaugh, but nobody was my age. And then I would go on to YouTube and social media, and I would watch all these people that I love and follow. Now I want style inspiration from you, and I love this actor. But then I would listen to, the Vanity Fair roundtables and go, I disagree with literally everything you're saying, even though you're my age. So I wanted to fill that gap.
So when you look around your age group, what's happening with young women? Because my impression from, way over on the other side is everyone's naked, everyone's getting enormous boobs and enormous butts. They're having all this fat sucked out of their waist to try to make it look like some sort of a weird, character, anime character.
Did you see Kim Kardashian at the Met Gala?
There's something seriously wrong with that person.
It's crazy.
I don't understand I really think she might have had ribs removed.
Yes.
I don't get it. I don't like it. And I don't like what message it projects. I don't like the beauty message that entire family projects.
Yes.
But you wound up okay because you had good parents. I know my kids are going to wind up okay. They have good parents. So I don't want to blame it all on them. But when you look around your generation, like what do you see young women doing and wanting?
I think young women are just lying to themselves. I think we've been lied to by society. We've been lied to by the Kardashian type figures that have given us beauty standards that are completely unrealistic, that have told us that the ideal is to be plastic, that you need to change everything about yourself to be desirable, not just to men, but to the world, whether that is Botox or lip fillers. Have you seen that young women my age are now getting Botox because it's preventative?
22-year-olds?
22-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 18-year-olds. It is a huge thing. It's like, it's preventative. You won't have wrinkles later on in life. It's like this is the most ridiculous thing. Obviously, if you want to do it later in life, that's your prerogative. But at 21 years old,
it's not necessary.
No, it's not. But they have been told that is their ideal. And I think a lot of the pressure then comes from women, because as other women start to do it, then younger women on social media see it and think that is what they need to aspire to.
Can I tell you just a quick, I want you to finish, but this is why, you remember when Dolly Parton performed was it the Super Bowl? And she came out and it wasn't the Super Bowl, it was like maybe Country Music Awards. Anyway, she had a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader outfit on. And I think she's 77 years old or maybe even older. And I found it both inspirational and depressing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's great. I love Dolly. Everybody loves Dolly. She looked so great. But then I also kind of miss the days where women were just allowed to age. And we didn't have to try to look 22 when we were 82. And that would be fine. That beauty standard did change and you were judged accordingly. You didn't have to be in a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader outfit.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. No, but I think that a lot of that has pushed women in a wrong and dangerous direction. I also think that society has been telling them for years that hookup culture is good and you don't need to be married. I mean, I think of like the 2016 Hillary Clinton era feminism and the Sheryl Sandberg lean in and girl bossing, like that took off in the mid 2010s and pushed women in this direction. And now 10 years later, they're going, I'm not happy. I'm single. I'm in my 30s. I have distanced myself from my family. I have given myself over to this corporate career, which is ironic because they sit online and say that they hate the man, they hate the patriarchy, they hate capitalism. And yet the one thing that they dedicate their life to is sitting in a cubicle and being a girl boss for Meta or Google or whatever you want to say. And so I think that women, number one, have been lied to, but then they've made the choice to lie to themselves and say, no, I'm happy. I'm happy being single. I'm happy hooking up every night and having no commitments. And I think that they're waking up because obviously that is not what we are, wired to do. And I see it every day. I see, my female audience grow. The most important thing to me is when I meet women, out just when I'm walking around in the world and they come up to me and they say that they watch the show. It's just the greatest feeling because again, I'm creating that content.
It's a great feeling for me to hear that too, because we need young women hearing alternative voices like that. Like
there's so many of them that come up to me, and it's amazing.
The other side is fed to them on a silver platter. They're on every magazine cover. Yeah. They're stars in all the shows. They're featured in everywhere and everything in left-wing media. And, the right wing, it's like you have to watch it subversively if you are 17 or 18. Yep. But more and more of them are. They're starting to do it as a backlash to this it's not an overcorrection. It's just the over-promotion of like Women's History Month and Black History Month and Gay History Month and Pride Month, all of it. I think subversively they're starting to look for alternative sources of information, even to young people.
Yes.
So on the subject of men, though, you're married. You got married young.
Yes, a month ago.
Best wishes.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. Yes.
So how are kids your age dating? How do you find, because I'm worried, we were talking with Adam about Mr. Carponzi in Birchum, who's got the man bun and he wears a sign that reads, the future is female.
Yes.
And he's a completely emasculated version of a man. I just don't think any woman really would want to sleep with a man like that. I can't understand a woman who would want to sleep with a man. But it seems like that's the trend now. More and more young men are becoming more Carponzi-esque than they are Birchum-esque.
I call them the wet cigarette men. The Timothy Chalamets.
Oh, yes.
I don't know why, but it's just like that and Machine Gun Kelly, that style, that genre of man. On my show, I always say you're a wet cigarette man. You're limp and you're kind of grunge and kind of nasty. And I don't know if you shower. And you're very, very skinny. That's what I always say. But no, the 2024 dating landscape is a hellscape for sure. I feel so awful because I read my comments and I have so many people, both men and women, saying, where do I find like-minded people? And I'm seriously working with my team. I don't know how to make them meet. I don't know if I just need to, I was talking with Jordan about this on his podcast. I was like, I don't know if you need to set up something after your shows, after your lectures, where you have them all, like all the cute men in their suits and the girls that come to listen. I don't know what it is, but something, because they're out there and they are desperately searching. I just did an episode about Bumble. Bumble just did a huge rebrand. Most people are still trying to meet partners on dating apps.
I don't even know what Bumble is.
So Bumble was created in 2014 to empower women. It is the feminist dating app, and women had to make the first move. And so they did that so the women were in the driver's seat. They did not have to get any, unsolicited sexual pictures, no cringe comments from men. They were in control. So it's like Tinder and Hinge where you swipe, but the women have to send the first message. Well, 10 years later, apparently it's a burden. Women don't want to make the first move. They don't want to do it. That's the whole reason that the app was created. But now they're saying, it's too hard. I don't want to do it. So they created this system where Bumble sends an automatic message from the woman. So technically it is still from the woman, but Bumble, the app, is sending it. The men have to create the clever, interesting, personalized response. And then the woman on the other side of the screen gets to think, is that clever enough?
Oh, wow.
It's just, that is like, those are the apps. That's what's going on. They have become a game and they are designed to keep you on the app. Like those apps make money by you not meeting somebody and not having a fulfilling relationship.
That whole need, like we saw behind the social network, that's behind the dating apps too?
Yes, for sure.
Oh, my Lord.
And I remember, I think that there is a way that you can use them well. I was actually on Dennis Prager's show, 4 years ago. We were talking about homeschooling. This was at the very beginning when I was starting to do this kind of work. And we were talking about dating, and I wasn't dating anybody at the time. And he had said, I think that you should be on dating apps because you live in California. And he said, if you use them correctly and you put all your values out there and you say, I am a Christian, I am conservative. He's like, even if you're not fully conservative, just say that you are on the right, put them all out there, because then you'll weed out all of the terrible people.
Screening.
Yeah. So it's good screening if you're willing to put yourself out there. Even then, you get so many bots and so many people that are playing around. It's just a mess. So it really is a hellscape. It's very difficult for people to meet, and my heart goes out to people. But I do hope that by consuming content, like mine and like yours and other young people like Isabel Brown and Amala Kanobi,
love her. She was there last night.
She's fantastic. But consuming our kind of content, young people, I hope that they're inspired to speak out and meet people in the real world and be brave about sharing their values so that they can then meet somebody who shares their values, because it's very difficult.
And set a higher standard for themselves and for anybody who they allow to access their life.
Yes.
Never mind themselves intimately.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, how did you and your husband meet?
We met through work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Daily Wire?
Yeah.
Is he a Daily Wire guy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. He left afterwards, but it was never expected to meet somebody through work. But honestly, I was actually talking to Dennis about it last night because we were saying, you told me to go on dating apps. I was like, that was terrible, Dennis. But I left Los Angeles soon after that. So his advice was not as needed because then I moved to Idaho and then I moved to Tennessee. So I think that there were more options. But, that was helpful.
It's very bold. It's very bold and very optimistic of you to get married so young. I love it. I wish I had met my husband at 22 and that we had gotten married then. But
I love it. I'm so grateful. I mean, everything that I do now, obviously, I think that we're pretty traditional, but we also have a bit of an untraditional marriage because I work and I'm obviously very much in the public eye, but like he's the reason why I feel confident enough to do all of this. His support, his passion for it, his excitement about all of it. It's like he is, and our marriage is the most important thing in my life, but it also propels everything else. Like it drives me in so many ways. His support drives me. He's so intelligent. We have a great rapport. He's an amazing like intellectual sparring partner. So it really felt like the right thing. And it's like, which is amazing. I couldn't recommend it more. Obviously, I'm a month in. It's a baby marriage,
you're glowing,
but it's great.
so something's working. I'm so happy for my daughter. I don't know why I wasn't invited to the wedding. I have to talk to your dad about that.
Yes.
Brett, all the best. Thank you so much.
Thanks
and good
for
luck
having
with the
me.
show and all of it.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Okay, when we come back, Joe Biden is here. Well, Kyle Dunnigan. Do you guys remember him? Remember him doing Joe Biden the last time? My family still talks about it. He is the funniest man. Stand by. There's something called debt traps, and that debt trap you might be caught in is not your fault. You didn't cause inflation or set gas prices or make credit card companies jack up their interest rates. The thing is, that debt trap can destroy your life if you don't get out now. That's why I want to tell you about Done with Debt. Done with Debt has debt relief strategists who can stand between you and your bill collectors. Then they negotiate a plan to get you out of debt permanently without bankruptcy and without taking out loans. But listen, some of these strategies are time sensitive, so contact Done with Debt and see if they can help with a free consultation. Share what you're dealing with, and they could explain a strategy to erase your debt faster and easier than you ever thought possible. Go to donewithdebt.com, donewithdebt.com, donewithdebt.com. Have you heard about Bond Charge? It's a holistic wellness brand with a huge range of evidence-based products to optimize your life in every way. Founded on science and inspired by nature, their extensive range of premium wellness products might help you sleep better, perform better, have more energy, recover faster, balance hormones, reduce inflammation. I mean, the list is endless. If you want to burn some more calories or detoxify after indulging in one too many treats, check out their infrared sauna blanket. It raises your heart rate like physical exercise does, so you could burn calories while you relax and flush out heavy metals and other toxins. And now Bond Charge products are all HSA FSA eligible, giving you tax-free savings of up to 40% off, even more of a reason to check out their many wellness products. Bondcharge.com/Megyn. Go to bondcharge.com/MEGYN. Joining me now is stand-up comedian and Eddie, my cartoon son, in the soon-to-be hit series Mr. Birchum, Kyle Dunnigan. Kyle was on with us back in April 2022 in episode 291, and my entire family and I are still laughing about that episode. We quote it regularly. Among Kyle's other work, he's hysterical. Kyle, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me, Mom. And that's so nice, your family. And you know the episode I was on.
Yes, because it lives as a legend in our family. You're incredibly talented. I'll just kick it off with just to remind people of what happened there. This was Kyle as Trans Trump, a character he does where it's Trump, only Trump is trans, on the MK show in 2022. Watch this, SOT 31.
So stunning, so terrific, Trans Trump.
No.
So stunning. You got you got to vote for me. You got no choice. You got to do it.
You know, I know that you prize beauty. You used to own and run a beauty contest. I'm not sure you'd be winning any of those awards like this.
Look, Megyn Kelly, look at her attacking me again. You know, you're always so nasty to me. I don't know why. Look. You're so nasty. Nasty woman. You're a nasty lady.
You're a nasty lady.
You're amazing at this. Now, were you always good at impressions? Did you grow up doing them?
You know, it's funny. I had when I was really young to impress girls, I did some impressions, and then I remember I did Michael Jackson, and then I started doing stand-up, and my manager, they were like, don't do impressions. It was very, I don't know, it's just out or not cool to do it. They were like, Tim Allen, those kind of shows, Drew Carey, they talked about their lives. So I stopped doing them because I just was like listening to people I probably shouldn't have listened to. And then the pandemic happened, and they had the face swap technology. And I actually did Trump years ago, just when he was on The Apprentice, just for friends. And I look nothing like him. Like I look the opposite of him. And so this face swap thing, I was like, oh, I can do him now, because I mean, if you look at every feature of his face is different than mine. It's complete opposite. So
because the face swap for the listening audience,
and then those took off. Yeah.
So the listening audience doesn't know what we're talking about yet, but Kyle's he's in LA, but he's not in studio with me because he does this thing that he has to be via Zoom to do it, where he swaps in the person he's imitating, their face on top of his face. Kyle puts on a wig that's aligned with the character, and then he thus becomes said person, and it works. How do you do this? Do you do this like in front of audiences? How could you ever do that in a stand-up?
Yeah, I have done that on live shows, and I'll just put my laptop on the stage, like on a table, and then I'll project it on the screen. Okay. But usually I don't bring that. It's a whole apparatus that I don't like to lug around.
Well, now you have something else to show those people, which is you starring in Mr. Birchum as Eddie Birchum, the son. So Adam and I, our characters have two kids. Brett plays one of them and you play the other. And here's just a clip. Here's a clip of Eddie as voiced by Kyle playing video games, which is his obsession.
Turn this crap off and come upstairs and eat like a normal human bear. Bing!
Can't. I'm crushing this camper during a little PvP. Boss style.
PvP? I thought you could only get one of those if you had a girlfriend. And maybe you could get a girlfriend if you played a real sport.
This is a real sport. I'm wearing my team jersey.
16 and a half. What's that, Larry Bird divided by 2?
Dad, none of the Angry Birds are named Larry. Yes! Headshot! Ugh.
Is that chair vibrating?
Take care of your body and it'll take care of you.
Says the guy who's chugging an energy drink that was made in a lab in Wuhan.
It's heated, does acupuncture, and can insult my competitors in 20 languages.
When I was on a construction site, my chair was a 5-gallon bucket. It was also my toilet.
I did like a California thing because I know he grew up in California. So I was like, maybe he's like talks like this.
Yeah, that works. Yeah. Well, see, that's your training.
Here.
Where'd you get Birchum merch? I got no Birchum merch.
They just gave them to their favorites.
Yeah, clearly. You got to know someone. Hello, Curtis, Nate. I got screwed. They're the ones who told us how to do everything.
Delay, huh? I keep interrupting.
Little delay.
You, delay. I just want you to know I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm trying to time this.
No, I never know if I've pissed you off with my questions because it takes so long for you to get back to me.
I know. I'm sorry. All
right, so let's chat about some of our characters in the news because I know you have intimate access to some of these guys, including why don't we mentioned Kim Kardashian with Brett Cooper. So I'm going to pick it up there. I don't know if I know she's a close personal friend of yours. Oh, yeah, there she is.
Yeah.
Hi, Kim.
She's actually here right now. Hi, Megyn. So great to meet you. Yeah.
I want to give you the chance to respond to the controversy over your teeny tiny waist that looked like it was about 12 inches around. Some people are wondering whether you had organs removed from your body.
Yeah, I had 16 ribs removed, and they told me I only had 14. Yeah.
I know that wasn't your only big event this week, though, because you went to the Met Gala and the night before you were at the Tom Brady roast. And Kim, I'm going to play a soundbite here. It didn't go well for you. You got up there and you made a joke. Here's the reaction. I'm going to show it and then you can react. Watch.
I know a lot of people make fun of your height. All right.
You were booed.
Yeah, I got booed. That was so bad. I looked pretty good, though. Yeah. That's really all I care about.
You looked beautiful. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, what about your $1 billion business? You must care about that.
Well, I do, of course, but I think that just helps. Any kind of press is good press. Even booing press is okay.
Did you enjoy the Met Gala, going there with all those actual celebrities and hobnobbing with the I guess the actual C-list talent that's left in Hollywood?
Yeah, I like to go to events like that because I can dress up and wear cute outfits. So yeah.
It's exciting. All right, Kim. Well, thanks for coming on. This is a big exclusive for us. I appreciate you being here. It's very hard to book Kim Kardashian, even though she's literally everywhere. Okay, what I'd really like to do, if you don't mind getting political, is speak with Joe Biden. We ran a clip of Mr. Trump, who's in a different phase of life right now. Oh, here he is, Mr. President. Great to see you. How are you?
Hey, good to see you again, Megan Smelly. You're lovely, not smelly. Come on, you're lovely. You're like a great lady to sniff. I want that to be clear.
I've got to ask you, Mr. President, the polls lately have been maybe a little better for you, but it's not looking great for you in these polls in the swing states. How do you turn that around?
I mean, look, we got to get rid of this Donald Duck guy. Come on. All we have to do is talk about the real issues. For example, Mexican melts are coming over the border. Some as young as $1.99. and paragraph, new paragraph, smile.
Now, are you having a prompter issue again, Mr. President? Seems like you might be reading your answers.
Look, all we have to do is we have to tell the people that I'm just don't worry about my age. Or we can just weaken at Bernie's this thing for the next 4 years. Smile.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like
new paragraph?
If anything happens to you, do you feel like if anything happens to you, we can feel good about Kamala Harris ascending to the presidency?
No, that's what I'm saying. You don't have to worry about Kamala Harris. Everyone knows we can just weaken at Bernie's me. It's a fine piece of film. It's a wonderful movie. So if nothing else, I promise in my next term, at the very least, will be quite hilarious. Semicolon. The hijinks alone will be worthwhile. Triple exclamation point. End page. Next page.
What, Mr. President, I really wanted to ask you a question because recently on Cinco de Mayo, you had a big party and you brought out the margaritas in the Rose Garden and had a great time demanding that Congress or allow dreamers who have been model citizens, according to you, come into the country and vote. And that was very controversial. Did you drink those margaritas? Because you said some weird things that day.
Yeah, Rose Garden, what was I doing? Why was I in the Rose Garden?
Well, you're the president, and that's your garden.
President? I'd like to meet that man. I salute that guy. Da, 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 da.
Can I ask you, sir, I know this may be a little impudent, but you seem to get lost a lot when I see you in these videos, and you seem to have trouble with the stairs up Air Force One. I mean, if it's not your age, what is it we're seeing in those videos?
Which those are fake films that they'll take a perfectly good Joe Biden. I'll take my talkie pills, and I'll be doing just fine. Sometimes the stairs will come at you. And then they'll move that things on the conveyor belt if you're familiar with the plane stairs.
Oh, got to look really closely, I guess, to see it. I have to ask you about your revisions to Title IX. I have to tell you, I'm very unhappy with you. You redefined the word woman. You now said that biological boys and men in K through 12 and college can go into the girls' locker rooms, into the girls' bathrooms. Why'd you do that?
That's right. Because it's the right thing to do. Whether it's a boy having vaginas or penis having girls, everyone deserves to go to the bathroom in the same place, and I'll stand by that. Smile at camera.
Would you want your daughter using such a bathroom with a biological man coming in?
Well, who's to say? My daughter could have a penis or a vagina or a penis. The worst thing you could do is tell a man that he has to have certain things. And there's a stall there. You close the door, man. Come on.
Well, the other thing you did in your Title IX revisions was you took away due process rights for young men on college campuses who get accused of sexual assault. And, it does occur to me, sir, respectfully, that if you held yourself to those same standards when Tara Reid accused you of a sexual assault, you might be behind bars.
Oh, come on. I just gave her a nice little sniff. That's all. It's the difference between a sniff and a sexual sniff. Big difference. Plus, you're assuming you're assuming I'm sorry. Come on, you know the thing. Get your face out of your ears, pal.
What do you, Mr. President, sometimes you refer to the dead people as alive and the alive people as dead. That's happening more and more. What's like, do you not remember who's dead and alive?
Yeah, well, it's hard to, it's hard to remember sometimes who's a dead and who's an alive person. So I think what the best thing is what we can do as a nation is come together and just start all over. And if I say, here's the thing, it's better than a Donald Duck guy. That's the vote, man. All right? You guys got orange legs.
Before I let you go, I've got to let you respond to the criticism that was launched the way of your wife. At the top of the show, Adam Carolla came on and made a point I confess I've made myself in the past, sir, and that is that your wife has no business calling herself doctor, that she's not a real doctor. Care to respond?
Oh, she's a real doctor. She's a doctor of something, man, right? What are you saying? You could go to her, ask her. I go to her all the time. I say, Jill, what do I do with this? She'll say, get a Band-Aid or whatnot. And she's a doctor.
You think?
What do you think she is?
Oh, yeah. Is she? I think she's got something approaching a doctorate, but not an actual PhD in education.
Jill. Hey, you a doctor? Huh? What? Oh, you're right. She's not a doctor. I've never asked her that before.
You maybe should find a new doctor, sir, to look after your neurological health. Thank you so much for being here. That's a great honor to have you on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Megyn Smelly. We appreciate you. Good luck to your family.
Now, I missed my opportunity when we were talking about the Met Gala to bring up another guest who was there. And this is someone I actually really admire, unlike my first two guests, and that is Jeff Goldblum. He's a great actor. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the Megyn Kelly Show.
Yes, Megan, so wonderful to be here. I've never been on your show before, but I do love watching, and so it's an honor to be here. Yes.
Oh, wonderful!
And, if I'm creepy, please let me know. People say that I appear a little creepy, so please keep me in line. Yes.
Not getting the creepy vibe at all. You went to the Met Gala, and unlike many there, you actually, have a thing or two between your two ears, and you actually started reciting the poem "The Raven" aloud. I mean, that was impressive. How did you become such a learned man?
Well, I've always just enjoyed poems, and what I love about them is they sort of condense, and they say much more, much like a painting than just droning on. But the Met Gala is the perfect place for a poem. Yes, it's a classy and elegant evening of women dressing like whores. Yes.
Yes, and many people enjoyed that. I was not one of them, but I understand. And so you look back now, you're getting a little older, but you still look great. I saw you recently at a restaurant in New York City. You were completely gracious to myself and my husband, my children. I appreciated that. But as you look back on your very successful career, what jumps out at you? Is it Jurassic Park? What was your favorite film that you did?
It actually, my favorite work was my work on apartments.com because I'm helping people find places to live. And although it is fun to work with dinosaurs, yes, I do love dinosaurs. I'd actually like to find a dinosaur. I'm not sure if they lived in caves or whatever, but I like to house people more than act, yes.
Thank you again for being here. We look forward to your next Academy Award. We'll be cheering you on.
Yes.
Kyle, you're amazing. Like, is this what you do in your spare time? Do you just like sit around coming up with these voices and working on them? Wait, you still have your, there you go. There's your face.
I have too much spare time. Yeah. And I have, I have, this is Popsicle Trump, Donald Trump. I've got no face swap for Donald, so I had to be a popsicle because of my gag order. The judge wouldn't allow me on the show unless I was a popsicle. But it's great being a popsicle. You can go right up to women. You can slide on up where the sun don't shine. And when you're a popsicle, they let you do it. They let you do it when you're a popsicle. But you got to get out of there before you melt, though. Believe me, you got to get out of there. Great to see you, Megyn. You're a nasty woman, but you're a beautiful woman as well. A beautiful, nasty woman. I hope you like that compliment. Trump gives the greatest compliments. People say this.
Mr. Trump. I didn't realize you were going to come on. I'll take you in any form. This is a big get. What's your reaction to Stormy Daniels on the stand yesterday, claiming you had an interlude?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me. I have a gag order here. Okay. I can't say that Stormy is a total liar. I can't threaten the jury, although I could have them all killed very easily. If this doesn't go Trump's way, people know I know people. So the jury needs to do the right thing. But I've got a gag order, Kelly. You know, I can't talk about this. I can't threaten the jury. Love to talk about it.
Well, is it true? I mean, like, do you have any reaction to her taking the stand and saying you slept with her in 2006, you told her you and Melania don't sleep in the same bed, and you had a, quote, brief sexual encounter with Stormy Daniels in the missionary position? She was very explicit, and then you called her honey bunch. True or not true?
First of all, a couple of things here. Doesn't she understand the concept of a gag order? The hush money, hush is right there. Hush money. Okay. And I don't look at a woman face to face. So that's a total lie. I never do missionary. It's too confronting for me. So there's proof. You know, you're like a classy Stormy Daniels to me. I thought about that when Stormy was on the stand. I'm like, this is just like Megyn Kelly, the Stormy Daniels, but you're much more classy, of course, you know. Stormy is like a Megyn Kelly whose dad doesn't love her. Sorry, that's what I think. You're a very classy Stormy.
I appreciate that. I mean, I don't know. There are still some women in America, they may not look very favorably on the fact that this was an extramarital interlude, sir.
Look, nobody cares. Okay? Nobody cares. Why can't Trump talk? Okay. What's with this gag order? I mean, at most, Stormy's got a ball gag order. Not so terrific, this judge. Okay. I was hoping to do that joke on the Tom Brady roast, but they wouldn't have a popsicle, so wasn't able to do it.
It's too bad. What do you think of Tom Brady, by the way? He's getting a lot of blowback, Mr. Trump. I mean, he was your supporter, but there are a lot of blowback in the wake of that roast. People saying he allowed too many terrible jokes about both of his exes, Bridget Moynihan and Giselle, and he got in somebody's face over a joke about Robert Kraft. It was, wasn't really that beyond the pale. I don't know. Do you think Tom Brady handled himself well?
I mean, he's a total loser. Let's be honest here. The guy is a total loser. It's all over for Tom, okay? This is what they do. They go on these roasts. They try to get attention, but it's all over, okay? The guy's a pretty guy. He's a good-looking guy. It's not jealousy. But he's going to just be good. That's a diminishing return thing. Looks, It's diminishing returns.
Is it even for you?
No, I'm a popsicle. I should be all right. Keep me in the freezer. Should be okay.
Thank you, sir. Good luck to you on the trial. So far, it's going as well for you as it possibly could, but I think we all know how this is likely to turn out.
It's going terrifically. And watch Birchum. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. You got to do it. People say this.
You do. I agree. Watch Mr. Birchum at Daily Wire Plus, if for no other reason than to get to know Kyle Dunnigan better. You're amazing. Thank you so much for coming back on, Kyle.
Thank you, Mom. We'll talk to you later. Here's all my merch.
Bye, sweetheart.
We'll get you merch.
See you later. Yeah.